In a world where good comics are made into bad movies, three nerds with their Overstreet price guides at the ready fight to educate you about the truth of the best comic book stories. The hour of comics is upon us with hosts John Seymour, Keith Bliss, and Jason Gurin. There is nothing mystical about that
Sociopath,
story.
is it the villain or the hero that you're talking about with the sociopath? Because I'm pretty sure Batman's the sociopath.
Well, both,
Yeah.
but it was about Joker's first appearance. So, as much of a sociopath as Batman is, he pales in comparison to Joker, which is ironic because Joker's so pale. Anyway,
he's very pasty. We're all like, "Oh, we were waiting for the joke."
John,
Sorry, let us know.
We're throwing you off of your own podcast for that.
That's okay. Much. That's fine. Dave, you want to take over hosting? you can host this one.
Nope.
There you go, Dave. Right. It's all you.
Nope. There's planning involved, and I know you.
Wait,
and I don't do that.
Yeah. What's planning?
I don't.
Planning.
Yeah.
Planning. That's it. Yeah. I'm sorry.
If you by planning, do you mean complete total chaos? Then 100%. That's us.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Complete and total chaos. What I do for these episodes is I take about, I don't know, 10 minutes to kind of like whip together a synopsis of what we're going to be talking about, just so we can have some kind of linear discussion. Yeah.
I don't even read them.
It takes 10 minutes.
Do the recap.
Oh, yeah, you don't read them?
Oh, do you get the cliff notes?
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I know we're going to talk about something related to this. I will just figure it out. It'll be fine. Like, what could possibly go wrong?
Can you imagine what cliff notes are for a comic book? I mean, like, what more do you want? We gave you fucking pictures.
Dave,
we illustrated it.
Dave, listen.
14 pages. Fucking figure it out.
Dave, you want to know what cliff notes are like for a comic book? Look up a synopsis of any comic book. That's what cliff notes are like for comic books. Because holy shit, man. And it is no fun to read the synopsis.
It's longer than the comic book.
It is. Like, it's
really
more reading.
Yeah.
There's some new stories coming out, and it was like a 2-page thing about the story. I'm like, no, I just want to know that like Batman's going to beat people up. Cool. All right.
as long as there's violence.
Yeah. Or like, all the X-Men get killed. Okay, fine. I don't need like a dissertation on, what's happening on every single page. I just need to know like the broad strokes.
Maybe I'll ask for a dissertation on some things. I don't know. Anyway.
Amazing.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the first appearance of Shazam. This is a special episode as per Keith's request because, I like to make all of my people happy. It's not just about the stuff that I come up with. It's about the stuff that Keith comes up with too.
There's no I in Keith, just me.
Exactly. But there's an
I in Keith.
There's an I in Keith, right?
Yeah, there is.
And there's no I's anywhere else except for Jason Gurin, I guess.
And March.
Right. The I's.
There are Ides of March.
Right.
There are some
obscure reference.
Keith, you're excused from podcast duty now.
All right.
So now it's just you and Jason then?
Yeah, pretty much. It's be like the speed run of reviews. Did you like it? Yes, cool. Click. Like, all right.
That was that. What did you think of it? I thought it was okay. So, I talking about chaos in podcasts. That's what I like to do, and that's why I never know how to get into anything. Do I introduce the people first, or what do I do? I guess I'll introduce the people. So first, I have the regular panel of the Hour of Comics is upon us. We have Mr. Jason Gurin. How are you, Jason?
I am well. Hello, everybody.
All right, good. I picked Jason first because Keith, you're not muted, so I'm not going to be catching you off guard, and it's no fun anymore.
I know. One time, I just figured I'm just going to leave myself off mute. You're going to hear some dogs barking, a cat scream. I don't even know. I cannot be held responsible for the shenanigans in my house.
And it's only because I like to pick on you. So,
exactly. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, so that's Keith Bliss. How are you, Keith Bliss?
It's raining today, so I'm doing as well as I can in the moist southeast.
Ooh.
I had to say it.
Anyway. Yeah, so that's Keith living by the beach is not that much fun when it's raining, is it?
Not really. No, not at all. It's kind of pointless.
And of course, a regular guest on the show on both the shows of Bullshit Hour and The Hour of Comics is Upon Us. We have Mr. Dave Aguilar. How are you, Dave?
Fantastic. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing fabulous.
We can never have enough Dave.
Never enough Dave. We got to get this.
You wouldn't say that if you lived in my brain.
Well, you've never seen the decoration inside of my skull, so it's okay.
I can live. Listen, Dave, I would be very happy living in close proximity to your brain as long as I'm not inside of your brain.
Yeah, I'd rather. Last time somebody tried that, I had a horrible migraine.
I mean, to be fair, if you and I lived that close together, we'd look like two testicles. I mean.
And there you go. Both shows recorded tonight. Ball jokes all around.
And I wasn't even trying to do it on purpose.
And Jason and I are once again left out of the ball jokes. Anyway.
Balls.
We'll survive.
That's great.
Oh,
all right. You'll get home.
Jason's like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm set. Yeah, I don't want to be bald. I want to be unbald. So unbald.
Hairy would be the term I think you're looking for.
Well, I don't know if I would call myself really hairy. I just, I have not baldness on my head. So
wait until you get to my age.
What are you, 47?
No. 45?
Oh, you're okay, so you're 5 years older than I am. I want to state that for the record.
You don't qualify for the wait till you're my age yet.
Yeah, no, when I was 40,
yet.
I had so much more hair. Like I actually had hair when I was 40. It was amazing.
It's all about the genes.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing South Park pajama pants, so it's not doing it
basketball
for me.
Shorts.
So anyway,
you guys are so cute wearing pants.
It's like, oh great, now all of our listeners have shut off the thing, and it makes no difference at all because no one listens anyway.
Exactly.
Please
That's fair.
Confirm that you are not listening by emailing into the show. The Hour of Comics is Upon Us at gmail.com. And so today, finally, we're going to talk about the first appearance of Shazam, Whiz Comics #2. I would love to know what Whiz #1 looks like. Anyway, sorry, that was a really bad joke, but
Hey-o. I get it. #1.
Yeah. And #2, right.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Although I am curious because the only Whiz Comics that's available on Comixology is Whiz Comics #2.
Really?
The first appearance. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think it's true. So February 1940 release, Whiz Comics #2, first appearance of Shazam. The first 13 pages of this book. And here's the story. A homeless 10-year-old boy by the name of Billy Batson is trying to sell newspapers in the middle of the night. Because that's when you sell newspapers. In the middle of the fucking night.
They had the late edition.
Mm-hmm. Suddenly, some super shady dude tells him to follow him into the subway, which he obviously does because who wouldn't? They get into a freaky train, which takes them to a freaky cavern. A white-bearded gentleman by the name of Shazam.
I like white beater.
He was also wearing a wife beater.
He was wearing a wife beater by the name of Shazam sits under a giant boulder that is being supported by a thread. He shows Billy 6 names on the wall: Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, and tells him that from that day forward, whenever he says the name Shazam, he will be gifted the powers of all of those people. So he says Shazam and goes from being a 10-year-old boy to being a grown-ass man with crazy powers. The giant boulder then falls on the old man's head and kills him, leaving Billy to become Shazam. Pardon me. Billy reads in the newspaper the next day that Mr. Savannah, a maniac scientist or maniac scientist, whatever, will disable all of the radio stations if he does not. If he does not receive $50 million. Billy tries to warn Sterling Morris of Amalgamated Broadcasting that the plan is taking place in his building, but he does not believe anything he says. However, he does agree to hire Billy at the radio station if he catches the madman, quote unquote, who plans on disabling all the radio transmitters. So Billy becomes Shazam and takes matters into his own hands. He finds Mr. Savannah and his henchmen and violently stops them from silencing the radio. So then Billy proves to Sterling Morris that all the stuff, in fact, was going down in his own building and that he stopped the whole thing by himself, while Mr. Morris was not really very willing to believe that it happened. What could he do? He reminds him that he promised him a job under the circumstances, and Billy gets a job as a radio reporter. Then he almost immediately outs himself as Shazam. Good thing he didn't, though. And that's the story.
So, John, did you write that, or is that actually Cliff Notes about this comic book that you're just reading to us?
I wrote that myself. That was
Oh,
me.
okay. All right.
Yes. No, I descriptions online are not that judgmental. So yeah, they're much more matter of fact than that. So
they would have been totally okay with this little boy following a stranger into a dark tunnel, who, by the way, is already wearing a trench coat. It's gonna end. It's like,
dude, it's hilarious to see like online descriptions of this thing. It's just like Billy Batson is a 10-year-old selling newspapers. Suddenly, a man in a black trench coat tells him to follow him in the subway, which he does. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's the story then.
We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into what people feel about this. Dave, you seem to be revved up and ready to go. So what do you have to say about
John,
this?
have you ever seen me not revved up or ready to go?
I have not.
That's my
maybe.
Try to stay out of your way.
This is why I scare children and dogs and cats. It's the sudden movements I make literally cause startle responses in babies. It's great. I love being the terror of children everywhere.
So you're the reason for fight or flight?
Ah, yes.
I am. That's like both of my middle names.
Fight and flight.
So, fight and flight. So
I thought that was your stage name.
You know what? That could be my Lucha Libre name.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Anyway. So, all right. So, so this was very interesting. First of all, what was fascinating to me is actually reading a comic book written in the 1940s. Is this the era that people like the golden age of comic books?
This is referred to as the golden age. Yes.
Okay. So it was immediately, like, as soon as the page came up on the screen, I was like, that looks very different from anything I've been reading since I've been doing the show with John and you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool seeing realizing the evolution that the artwork has taken in its level of sophistication between then and now, and the comic books that I've been reading, that some of them were from like the 70s and 80s, if I recall, right? So I did get a big kick out of the comic books. I also found it very interesting, the simplicity of like the storyline. Like, if you ever look back, so it's interesting to me when I look at old TV shows or old movies, especially comedy routines, particularly, everything is just stereotypes. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody exists at a stereotype that, the businessman in the office, he looks exactly like every other businessman, blah, 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 blah. But, and it's also the naivete of like middle class America, which probably the main buyer of these comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they live, it's a very cush life. So they don't find it weird. Nobody comments on that. That is a kid toucher. That is a 95% chance that is a kid toucher. And, right. And they just went with it. You know what I mean? So it was interesting watching the differences because of the time frame it was written in.
All right. Cool.
That was it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
You want to edit out that long gap? Yeah.
No, I want to make the gap longer, as a matter of fact, and I might just do that. So
it'll be your first 1 hour episode. Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to Jason. Jason, what did you think?
So I think Keith's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but this is the first Shazam book I've ever read.
Oh yeah, me too. Don't worry about that. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Honestly,
never picked up one of his books, and I've always known the story, and this kind of didn't really do anything because it just was, like you said, it was so simple. Yeah. I mean, the whole right off the bat when he's homeless as a 10-year-old on the street, I was like, all right, this is as comic booky can get, and I'm down for it though.
Now, to be fair, Jason, this is coming on the tail end of the Great Depression as we were climbing out of it. So they were pretty used to just homeless 10-year-olds, selling newspapers and
eating cheese sandwiches out of the garbage can. I get you, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a Dick Tracy reference, by the way, in case you didn't pick that up. Kid in Dick Tracy ate a sandwich out of the garbage can.
Now you're showing your age.
Been a while.
George Costanza ate a cannoli out of a garbage can too. I don't.
That's true. The Warren Beatty Dick Tracy, not the older
the
Dick
cartoon
Tracy.
Dick Tracy. Yes.
Yeah.
But overall, I did enjoy it. I mean, like I said, it was just a very simple story. It was fun to read. Just nothing game changing for me. It didn't change the story of what I was expecting at all, basically.
Right. Okay. And Keith?
How dare all of you? You speak upon my favorite comic.
I know.
And yes, as with the last episode, I do have a Shazam tattoo. I have the lightning bolt on my forearm.
Oh,
sick.
I got the Thunderbolt, and I have right next to the Sword of Almonds from Thundercats. So I'm very
Keith. I wasn't
crazy.
Dumping on your favorite comic book. By
You
the
are-
way.
you-
I'm
you
just
are-
observing its context in its time.
Yeah, no, 100%. It does not age well. The core story is okay, as we've seen when they made the Shazam movie, but the original run of it does not hold up very well. Although, ironically enough, you could replace radio broadcasters with podcasting. So, weirdly, it does apply still to this day, but the whole creepy dude in the black trench coat and, hey, little boy, follow me. And he's like, okie dokie. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? At no point, nope. Nuh-uh. Like, I don't care. 1947. He, out of all people, he should have been more weary of just some random dude be like, come follow me. He's
a kid who lives on the street.
Yeah, he's
like,
seen some shit.
Where are we going? It's
He's
like,
like,
what is
okie
this
dokie.
place?
And just,
That was
He's like,
the
get on the
dope
train.
they got.
It was.
he gets
it
on the
was-
train. He's like, okay, like nothing. Like, there's no maybe I should tell somebody, like stranger danger.
Yeah.
None of that. He is way too trusting. And then to get into this cave with, the wizard Shazam, and he's like,
Yeah.
hey, friend. And they're like, I would think none of this is real, especially when he's like, just say my name and you get all these powers. I'm like, I'm going to call bullshit here.
Mhm.
No, all the red flags. Next thing you're going to tell him to reach under his cloak and,
Pull this lever.
yeah, right. Grab his magic
Yeah.
wand and say his name 3 times. Like, it's very, really creepy real fast.
Oh, yeah.
But
So, go ahead. I'm sorry, Keith.
no, but I mean, all things being considered, when the story came out, yes, it's a product of its time. Same thing like we were talking about with Batman and Joker. When you see the first appearance of Batman and Joker, they're very much a product of their time. So, you kind of give them a little bit of pass. When you see newer retellings of Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, they do a better job in terms of modernizing his origins a little bit better. It's not as like, hey, little boy, you want to come sit in my lap? Like, no, danger.
They flesh out the character a little more, I imagine, before he goes down that subway station.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, for the origin of its time, 100% on par with, especially like the Batman that we've read. It's very much a product of its era, but
Yeah.
it has not aged well at all.
Now, you said something, Keith, just now that I was confused about.
Said a lot of
And
things.
I think not as many as me, buddy. Not as many as me.
No, it's true.
Yeah. Nobody does more than me. To my dismay. But you brought something up. So Shazam and Captain Marvel are the same thing.
Same person. Yeah.
In
right.
the DC universe, well, prior to DC, they tried to introduce this character and they were calling him Captain Marvel. Well, Marvel sued them and they lost, so they had to. I mean, that's a very condensed story, but Shazam was actually put out by another comic book, which was absorbed by DC. And then at that point, Marvel had come onto the scene and lawsuits and yada, yada, yada. So that's why in this issue, he refers to himself as Captain Marvel.
Right.
And then magically, it just never happens again.
Yeah, I did catch that. That name was only used one time.
And that's because of Marvel Comics.
I want to kind of put in my 2 cents here.
Please.
First of all, the cover of Whiz Comics #2, which was approximately 2 years after Action Comics #1, features our hero throwing a what is that, like
A car,
a buggy,
car,
whatever you call that thing, the punch buggy,
vehicle.
against the wall, car full of people against the wall. And this is, I've seen it parodied, of course. This seems to look like it tries to be its own thing, but it's like, hey, man, we've already seen a superhero throw a car full of people against a wall or a hill or a mountain or whatever.
Are we assuming that all the people in the car were actually bad guys? I hope.
I mean, I would hope so, because, he is a superhero, or at least that's how he's depicted in the story. I felt, and Keith, please forgive me for saying so, every step of this story felt like it was just thrown together because they needed something to put in the comic. It was like, hey, there's a homeless 10-year-old kid who is lured into a subway station, becomes Shazam, and now and that was like mystical, like, oh, all this crazy weird stuff is happening. And now a crazy scientist is trying to interfere with radio airwaves. It's like, really? And you guys are saying, oh, it's a product of its time. It was not very interesting.
This was in response to Superman, because Superman had come out, and this was another company trying to jump on the superhero bandwagon. So that's why Shazam is the strongest, the mightiest mortal, where Superman is the strongest being.
Yeah, I see.
That's done. It's not like just a semantics thing. It is literally a thing, because the powers of Shazam can be bestowed upon anybody. So that's why Billy Batson is the strongest mortal, and Superman is just the strongest being, or one of the strongest beings. Right. If you had bestowed those powers on Superman, he would be just broken to all get out.
There you go. But and I'm not going to call this a complaint, because I actually found it to be very entertaining, is that, in these superhero comics of the time, it was mostly people getting murdered. It was people like, I want this and I want this. And then all of a sudden you get this story where a guy's maniacal plan is to cut the airwaves from the radio, or whatever, like interfere with the airwaves from the radio. And it's basically, oh no, now it's going to be static on the radio all the time.
Wait, I'm gonna.
You have to remember though when this came out.
Yeah,
go Keith, go.
It was. I know. I understand that it was. That was
the artery. That was the only way you got all your stuff.
The form of entertainment. That was the news. That was the this and then that. I get that, but it's just a very odd villain plan.
But no, I don't think so, because I got to disagree with you here, John. I do agree with you that it seemed a little bit rushed, but I think that point. That would be like today saying we're going to knock out the internet.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying weapon of war. That is one of the major things that, like, the NSA, the CIA thinks about, is things like that.
If you saw that in a comic book, would you be like, oh, that's entertainment? I would in
the 40s, I might have been.
Right. Well, think of like War of the Worlds when that came out. That was the thing. And they used the radio to project this false invasion. And,
by the way,
Orwell had to be like, hey guys, just kidding.
That wasn't that was a myth that didn't actually happen. People,
that was slightly exaggerated.
There was no widespread panic. It was
literally one town that everybody lost their shit. Yes, I'm aware of this.
But I really wish it was widespread panic.
But he still had to come on the radio the next day and be like, just kidding, guys. Because
it's a story. It's a book.
It's a story. I made it up. Calm your shit.
What year? Do you remember around when that was? Was that like in the 30s?
It was. I think it was the early 30s. Something like that. Yeah.
If that were real, I wonder if it would have prevented like a Hitler or something like that. Like, if you know what I mean, like, how they always say the butterfly effect. That is if that really were true, that would have been a major event. And I wonder what that would have happened. Anyway, that's just my.
Wouldn't be doing podcasting right now.
True.
Probably not.
Yeah. Now, where would we be without our podcast? Sorry. Where
would you be without England?
I'm having trouble talking today because, I already did a podcast earlier today. And so, I can only do English so much.
You only English well sometimes.
I only English goods. And I read 2 stories in the last podcast. This time I'm only doing 1. Yeah.
Whoa, words are hard. I understand.
Yes.
You did just start 3rd grade, so I mean, everybody's still proud of you for that one.
True. How you doing over there, Jason?
I'm well. Actually, Keith, I got a quick question for you as the all-knowing Shazam on our panel here. At what point did DC absorb him into their catalog?
It was a couple of years after they came out. I have to Google the exact time frame, but it was a competitive comic, and that was their trying to respond or jump on the bandwagon, like I said before, and they just didn't sell the same levels as Superman did, and DC turned around and absorbed them. So let me do the interwebs.
Did they continue to produce his books for a bit, or were they like, now we have Superman, we're going to just shelve this, or they just kept going?
They still kind of kept it going for a while, but that was the same reason why they had to go to the Shazam name from Captain Marvel, because the whole confusion they kept, that was the argument with the case. And of course, Marvel being Marvel won because they had been around longer. So they had to relinquish, and they kind of switched to Shazam.
They are Marvel. They should have the Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Sorry.
So Marvel comes out with a new character called Captain DC.
Yeah, right?
In no way will there be litigation following that. Not at all. Not at all.
No, not at all. Be like, but they'll say this or they'll make him dyslexic. You'd be like, it's Captain CD, and you're like, why is he a musical object? Like, what the fuck?
Hey, so, go ahead, John.
No, I was just saying, like, I'm kind of looking for this. I'm looking for Whiz Comics #1, and I'm like not able to find it. It's like Whiz Comics #2 is all over the place. I don't know. Maybe Whiz Comics #1 got destroyed.
Maybe they started at #2.
Like Channel 2.
Fun fact: there is no #1. By the way, I just found this article. It says Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, first appeared in 1939 in Whiz Comics #2. Fun fact: there is no #1.
Ah, well,
that's interesting.
Okay. That confirms what I'm saying then.
That is interesting.
He was the most popular character in the 40s, outselling Superman.
Oh,
really?
Yes, and was the first superhero to be adapted to a film in 1941 Republic Pictures' Serial Adventures of Captain Marvel.
I would love to see the special effects.
You've never seen that one?
No.
You know what? We could do plugs, I guess. Why don't we do plugs? I like plugs. Plugs. Dave, why don't you plug?
So I can be found on Instagram, where I'm basically just Dave. That's not a description of my name. That is the name, basically just Dave. I can also be found on
Dave was taken.
Well, that was my old name.
That figures.
But it's not for family audiences like this shit. So I can also be found on Facebook. It's Dave Aguilar. That's last name is Aguilar. I'm not going to spell Dave because guys, it's Dave. It's not that hard.
It's DAIV.
Right.
Dave.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you also want to see some of the stuff I write, because I am a frustrated novelist or whatever, I got some short stories and things that I do write, and you can find that on ariesdesk.blogspot.com. So that's spelled EYRIESDESK.blogspot.com. So come check it out. Say hi on the socials. I love making new friends.
Nice. Jason, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Oh yeah, it's been a minute. You can find me on Facebook, Jason Gurin, Gurin. Find me on Comic Book Villains, and if you want to hit me up for a friend request or message me, you could also join our Discord group, Comic Book Addicts. I'll send you a QR code.
Nice. Keith?
Oh, I have to be all social now. Damn it. I am on a podcast with a mutual friend of ours, DJ Nick, Happiness and Darkness. We discuss movies based on comic books, graphic novels, anime, manga, pretty much anything of any medium that was turned into a live action, we will discuss. I mean, hell, we did Death Note 2 weeks ago. Tonight or last night, we did Mystery of Batwoman, which was a fun take, and several of our mutual friends were on it. So you guys can find me there. I'm on Facebook, Keith Bliss. It's a corny black and white picture of my bald ass head. Send me a friend request. Just let me know where from, because get a lot of weird creepers and whatnot. Otherwise,
mostly luring you into a train tunnel.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Guys in
pretty
creepy
much.
black coats saying, "Hey, come to my tunnel." I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So when Keith says it's a picture of his bald ass head, that's bald hyphen ass, not bald ass head, because that would be quite a different picture.
Yeah, that's
That
very
100%
different.
would be a different picture.
Which
should
is
make that
even
my-
worse than me flashing you.
I should make that my
Yeah, I would say so,
my
yes.
ex Twitter handle, Twitter Spacebook or something, whatever the hell they're calling it. Insane.
I love Spacebook.
Spacebook, yes.
Anyway, so for me, I'm on Facebook, John Seymour, JON space SEYMOUR, standing next to a door, and I'm wearing a Fantastic Four shirt, and I'm holding up a sign. It says first day at grad school, John, age 40, whatever, big smile. I described this in the last episode. I'm going to describe it again. A lot of people didn't realize it's supposed to be a joke, and people were like, heart reacting and liking and saying, "Congratulations, I'm so proud of you," blah, 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 blah. Believe me when I say I very much appreciate those messages. It's supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be making fun of people going to their first day of kindergarten or something.
I literally ran
Yes.
over and showed Christina the picture.
I died
I literally
laughing.
laughed out loud when I saw that picture.
Mhm.
So that was,
Good.
I got it.
I'm glad to know. And it's okay. Trust me, if you didn't get that, I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying it's not meant to be taken seriously. So that's me on Facebook. I have another podcast called Bullshit Hour with John Seymour, but this seems to be an episode of that. So,
Most of them are sometimes.
well,
Right.
some of them are a little bit more focused than others. So that's Bullshit Hour with John Seymour, which, it seems that I have not lost any of that juice. So I gotta get back to that medium with the Bullshit Hour. It's been a while since I've bullshitted it with people. So look out for that.
Besides tonight,
Yeah. Yeah. Besides tonight. Look out for that. Email me, bshour6@gmail.com for Bullshit Hour, or email me at the Hour of Comics is pardon me, my voice just got crazy there.
puberty.
The Hour of Comics is upon us at gmail.com. Talk to me, send me requests. I want to hear this. I want to be on this show. I want to do this. We'll talk. We'll arrange something. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful. Okay, so that does it for that. And now I'd like to thank Dave, Keith, and Jason for being on the show. And I hope to do this again real soon without Dave flashing his nipples at us. Just saying.
Things I could unsee.
I can't make any promises.
Can't make any promises. Well, that's also fine. Just if you're going to take your pants off, keep it under the screen.
You didn't see me standing all the way up.